Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving right into a structured academic review of a pretty chilling modern reality. Think about this. The next major global conflict, it might completely bypass missiles and just start with a keyboard. We're talking about moving away from those traditional battlefields of mud and steel and stepping into a domain where literal lines of code hold the power to bring entire nations to a standstill. So, let's break down exactly how this invisible battlefield operates. What if the next world war really does begin with keyboards? We have to ask ourselves this foundational question because right at this very moment, governments and hackers are fighting invisible battles. And they're doing it across the networks that control our absolute most vital systems. I mean, banks, power grids, airports, hospitals, they're constantly being probed. The harsh reality we have to face is that literally nothing connected to the internet is completely safe anymore. Here's the syllabus for our review today. We'll start by defining the battlefield, look at the state actors and their objectives, review some historical infrastructure attacks, evaluate AI threat multipliers, and finally, examine the civilian collateral damage. All right, let's jump right into Section 1 and formally establish the parameters of this new digital conflict. So, what exactly is cyber warfare? Basically, it's the instantaneous deployment of digital code to cripple targets that might be thousands of miles away. Instead of deploying troops over months, which is incredibly costly and visible, an attacker just uses malware to strike in mere milliseconds. The tactical goal here is highly efficient. It's about disrupting economies, stealing classified secrets, or weakening enemies, and doing all of that without firing a single bullet or crossing a physical border. Moving on to Section 2, let's analyze the major sovereign powers and their objectives in digital espionage. Now, while official involvement is almost always denied, as you'd expect, global intelligence agencies are continually accusing specific rival nations of operating highly advanced units dedicated solely to offensive cyber operations. We're talking about global powers like the United States, China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. And these governments are actively pouring billions of dollars into these units. Because in the digital age, information isn't just leverage, it's the ultimate power. Cyber warfare has really become this primary instrument for geopolitical maneuvering. But here's where it gets really interesting, and honestly, a bit alarming. There is this stark contrast between grand geopolitical state operations and the reality for civilian infrastructure. On one hand, states are trying to steal government secrets, map out military networks, or, subtly manipulate foreign elections. But the methods they use frequently spill over. They end up directly targeting and crippling the very systems that ordinary people rely on every single day. Things like local hospitals, power stations, and financial institutions. To prove this isn't just theoretical science fiction, let's look at Section 3, Historical Infrastructure Attacks and the Empirical Evidence of These Threats. If we look at the timeline chronologically, we can observe a clear, undeniable escalation. In years past, the primary focus was really just digital espionage, right? Stealing data, maybe siphoning off millions of dollars. But recently, we've seen those tactics shift toward actual physical disruptions. Think about major networks like the Colonial Pipeline being completely shut down, which caused regional energy crises. And then, in the immediate past, these attacks have escalated to crippling life-saving medical facilities, like the UK's National Health Service or the Change Healthcare Network, causing genuine nationwide panic. It shows how a digital weapon creates physical, tangible destruction. That brings us to Section 4, AI threat multipliers, and how artificial intelligence is rapidly escalating this conflict. AI acts as a severe threat multiplier here. Basically, it completely removes the human speed limit from cyber warfare. Let's walk through the steps. First off, AI can detect network vulnerabilities almost instantly. Second, it automates hacking attempts at an unprecedented scale. Once it's inside, step 3, it can analyze absolute mountains of stolen data in seconds to pinpoint the most valuable secrets. And finally, step 4, it introduces this entirely new psychological weapon. I'm talking about the ability to generate hyper-realistic deepfakes and spread automated misinformation seamlessly. To put that into perspective, in a modern battlefield where information is power, AI-manipulated media is absolutely devastating. Just imagine a fake video of a world leader declaring war suddenly appearing online. Even if it only takes a few minutes for experts to debunk it, those few minutes of confusion could trigger global panic. We're talking about a window where automated trading algorithms could cause catastrophic economic crashes, or worse, trigger irreversible military responses, all before anyone even realizes the video was fake.
For our final analytical module, let's pivot to Section 5, Civilian Collateral Damage and the Societal Outcomes of These Invisible Wars. Think about your own daily life for a second. Our modern world depends entirely on digital systems, which ultimately makes everyday citizens the biggest victims when things go wrong. Let's look at the consequences across critical systems. If a massive attack hits the banking sector, accounts freeze and markets crash. If it hits healthcare, patient care is completely disrupted, directly endangering lives. An attack on transportation can shut down airports and halt critical food supply chains. And targeting utilities, that means an immediate loss of electricity and water for entire cities. We are literally standing right in the crossfire of these geopolitical games. So to summarize our review, it's pretty clear why governments worldwide are drastically increasing their cybersecurity spending. The internet is now officially a battlefield, and protecting digital infrastructure is just as crucial as defending physical borders. Going forward, future conflicts are really going to blur the lines of peace. We're looking at a hybrid reality that combines cyber attacks, AI systems, drones, economic warfare, and constant information manipulation. And a lot of it will be happening entirely behind the scenes.
As these technologies evolve way faster than any government can actually regulate them, the risk compounds every single day. So, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. How prepared is the world for what comes next? Do you really think the next world war could begin online? It's definitely something to consider. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer on the invisible digital battles that are shaping our future. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.